Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Life Money Balance Podcast. It is the new year 2024. We welcome you back. I am your host, Dr. Preston Cherry, founder and CEO of Concurrent Financial. We help you let your life lead your money, not your money lead your life. So your life and money are working concurrently to help you align, aspire, and achieve your life's design. Oh, this week, we have a special guest to help us kick off the new year and think positively about your finances. My friend and financial behavior specialist. Oh my goodness, Ashely Quamme. Ashely, thank you for being with us today.
Yeah, absolutely, Preston. Thanks for
All
having
right,
me.
so we're going to talk about New Year's resolutions and positive psychology, particularly with finances. I was reading somewhere that only 9% of folks keep their New Year's resolutions throughout the year. Do you think that positive psychology or the way people think and go about their New Year's resolutions affect that number?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've heard similar things, right? That by February 1st, most people haven't, continued on with their goals. But I think with regards to positive psychology and goals, one of the things that is important here to consider is that really with positive psychology, it's a mindset shift. And it's a focus shift. And so I think that if we can take some of what we know, and I'm sure we'll talk more about this today, some of what we know about positive psychology, and then create goals with those principles or those aspects in mind, it makes it a lot easier to achieve or follow through with whatever our resolutions, goals, or priorities
Right,
are.
right. So what do you think some of the I read some of them. I have some of my own. I'm sure you do too. Uh what are some of your New Year's resolutions generally year over year? I have mine. And then what do you think the people's are in general? Let's start with people. What do you think like the top 3 are?
Oh, yeah. So this would be what I hear from either friends or clients, usually some form of like physical fitness or health, like exercising, um, eating better. Um, there's another, I guess, kind of category there around family, like family indoor relationships, improving my marriage, spending more time with my kids. I hear a lot of that. And then the third, I don't know, I hear a lot around, which probably falls under health, but like
Yep.
diet as well. Like, I'm going to give up this year. This is going to be the year I quit soda. Uh, things kind of like that. Yeah, or find a new hobby, um, things like that. So yeah, those are some of the ones that I hear. Be curious if do you hear
Yeah,
anything
no,
different?
you hit them all on the head, and the big one obviously too is finances. People want to get their finances in order, but you hit them all on the head, and I think that I think that they're reoccurring like every year. If people were really to track them, I know for myself, it's like, man, these look like the same goals. Everybody wants to hit the gym. I see a lot of gym things on the Twitter and all that other stuff. People trying to get in the gym, and like you said, mental health. I mean, and I also think that
Yeah.
folks want to just be have better well being. And, wealth and well being kind of coincide with one another. Uh, what is your take on well being, feeling well? Because I think that's the theme of kind of New Year's resolutions.
Yeah, it generally is. And that's also one of the focuses, at least of positive psychology, too, is our purpose and well being. And so I think you're right. Like a lot of our goals or resolutions tend to center around that. Well being is kind of a big, like all encompassing but also maybe slightly subjective, term that gets thrown out there. It can be really hard to define, I think, for ourselves, which is probably where a lot of us then go to create goals or resolutions, is in trying to define that. But generally, like well-being, at least in terms of when I'm working with clients or talking about it, even with my kids, is focusing on things that positively affect you, that allow you to be a better version of yourself, that allow you to positively go out and impact others, that make you feel good about who you are at the end of the day.
Oh man, that's a perfect pivot right there when we talk about well-being and you drop the gems on being and positive. So let's chop it up about what financial psychology actually is. So what by definition the realm of what is it all about?
Yeah. So, with regards to, positive psychology, it's really focusing on, from a strengths place, focusing on what are those strengths, what are those characteristics, what are those values or traits that allow us to have greater well being, that allow us to live a purposeful and meaningful
Mhm.
life. And so that's kind of a big undertaking, if you will. And I'm not an expert on the history of positive psychology, but I do know that it has come about as a result of
Mhm.
the history of psychology, of focusing more on the negative aspect. What is wrong with the person or the individual. And so then there was kind of this shift on, well, let's focus on, maybe the positive aspects of it. What helps, people to be more resilient? What are those aspects or qualities? What strengths do people have that allow them to go out and not be just good, but also great? So, there's a lot of, kind of direction or opinions even too on maybe what exactly it is. But in terms of how I explain it, it's really just focusing on those strengths, characteristics, traits, values that allow you as the client to go out and live a purposeful, meaningful life.
I think you hit that right on the head there. And the overall theme, which I heard you say, which is positive psychology produces, positive outcomes. So more than
Yeah.
likely, uh, it's it's more likely that your outcomes be committed to, compounded, work you through resilience, that so you can be more committed. I heard somewhere to where if you write down your goals, whatever they are, they move from like 9% up to the 30 to 40s. And and so
Yeah.
aligning your goals, right? Aligning your goals, thinking positively about your the belief system that you can, and then surrounding yourself with mechanisms and tools and people that will help you, like you said, thrive and prosper, will promote greater outcomes. What have you seen with the people that you work with, where their mindset, the word that you use, or one way and this way?
Yeah. So I'm going to pause. Sorry. You cut out
Oh, no worries. Yeah, no.
and I
So
did
we'll
not
edit.
hear the question. I'm
Yeah,
so
no.
sorry. That's why I paused for a second. I'm so sorry. I didn't hear
Yeah,
the
no
question.
worry, no
You
worry.
were glitchy.
Yeah, so what have you seen? What have you seen in the people that you work with where they're approaching their goals of what they accomplish, their aspirations with a mindset of this way or that way, negatively or positive?
Yeah. So I think that, and this may not be a surprise, is that for clients or for individuals, even couples who have a more positive outlook on being able to achieve their goals, but not only just like a positive outlook, but a positive perspective on their own ability and capability, they're going to be more likely to be able to achieve or accomplish whatever it is that they've set out. And I know that you know this as well, but I'll just say it that clients who have maybe a more positive outlook also tend to create goals that are SMART.
Mhm.
And SMART is an acronym, right? And so they tend to create these goals that are specific, measurable, achievable, right? Realistic, all the things. Clients that, maybe have a more negative outlook tend to kind of shoot for things that maybe aren't realistic. And then it becomes this almost self fulfilling prophecy. Now, not all, I'm not trying to generalize here, but certainly those that, and have that more negative mindset tend to do that. So, when looking at these traits or characteristics, having a positive mindset, and I guess maybe we should clarify here too, Preston, just from a myth standpoint, is that a positive mindset doesn't mean that you think 24/7 that everything is sunshine and roses and is going to be great, right? Like that, I think that that can be a misconception when we talk about like a positive mindset. Um, and maybe there's a better word
Oh
choice
no,
kind of there for it.
you stole. That's why you're an expert, because you stole my question because of my thought process. Because there is a myth around there about a
Yeah,
positiveness solves everything, and then that's way life is linear and not necessary. A step ladder, right? And so I've
right.
heard of this term called toxic positivity, to where it doesn't help you
Yeah.
with processing just the ebbs and flows of life. So yes, keep going with that, because that could really be a barrier to progress, and actually be hurtful to someone's journey if the myth is overbearing, saying if I'm not thinking positive, then something's wrong with me.
Right. I think that what I at least coach or encourage clients to do, taking a positive aspect, it's probably more maybe looking at it from a realistic standpoint while focusing on maybe the positive side or the strength side or, the resilience that it takes, to maybe lean into the more hopeful outcomes, if you will. And so, trying to shift our mind or our thinking to if working out 3 days a week is our goal, or if losing 20 pounds like is our goal, right? Let's shift our focus from a positive, place. Like, how can we embody what are the strengths that we already have that we can draw upon that allow us to maybe achieve that? What are the values or traits that we have? Maybe we're really good at waking up early in the morning. That's a
Sure.
strength. And so if a strength of ours is that we can naturally wake up early in the morning, and not be a bear, then let's capitalize on that. Maybe that's the best time to go and work out to achieve that goal. So I'm using that as just kind of an example, place when we're talking about drawing upon strengths. But from a positive place, like being able to break, whatever it is our goals are, our resolutions are, break it down. And then looking at what are our strengths? What are our traits? What are the things that naturally come maybe easier for us or that we're more capable in being able to do? And let's then focus our efforts in that vein. And clients who are able to do that certainly have better outcomes than ones who make unrealistic plans like I'm going to work out 5 days a week and I'm going to get up at 5 a.m. every day, Monday through Friday, even though I hate getting up early and,
Right, right.
I'm not really able to do that
Right,
well.
right,
Yeah.
and because as long as it's not like a limiting belief, believing that, because it goes along with what you just said about SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. So thinking positive that you can do it, like abundance is for you, prospering is for you, thriving is for you, commitment, paying yourself with inputs that are going to help you prosper is for you, and aligning your values is for you. So aligning all these positive aspects is what I hear from you, is going to help you push through. Let's introduce some what we what fancy terms, psychology, and all these terms. PERMA. It sounds like an outfit. But
Hmm.
right, the
It
perma
does.
traits I have them written down here because I wanted to remember them correctly. So positive emotion, engagements, relationships, and accomplishment. So positive emotion, engagement, relationships, and accomplishments. So those perma traits, that positive psychology, um, those together can help us, walk the path. When we talk about positive emotion, that's well-being. We've talked about that a little bit. What about our relationships, surrounding folks, closing ranks, so to speak, or putting people around you to encourage you, and also engaging with what's your engagement level with folks, meaning, not being so centered and cut off. How does, relationships help you, and also engaging with the community, you know help us on our goals?
Well, first off, we're social creatures as humans by nature. So I think recognizing, even for those maybe more introverted people who like to be, kind of keep to themselves. Like as human beings, we thrive on connection and we thrive on relationships. That's how our species has survived. And so understanding that healthy, positive relationships are restorative for us is kind of a foundation, maybe point to accept and just first off kind of recognize. The key word there is healthy relationships, right? Yeah. So having those relationships in our life, and it doesn't have to be a lot, it does not have to be many, but at least having a handful of them that when you are engaging with them, the relationship puts back into you. There's a reciprocity to that relationship, and it is also restorative. For you, having those kind of relationships, having that type of community will allow you to be able to go out and explore the world. I know we're not talking about attachment theory here today, but in attachment theory, they've done a lot of studies around people who have a healthier or more secure sense of attachment from a stylistic place, and that when they have that foundation of community, or in the studies it's been more primary caregiver, they're able to go out and accomplish things, going out into the world to accomplish their goals, or create their own success. It's not scary for them. And so positive relationships really, apart from just allowing us to survive and thrive, also really allow us to go out and accomplish the things that we want, New Year's resolutions, and
Ah,
all.
yes. Perfect. So that's a perfect segue into how can we how can we really align our positive emotion or our positive psychology with our finances. So let's chop it up about that. All right. So
Yeah.
we have talked about a lot today about the generalities of positive psychology and goals and attainment. And as you know, I mean, studies show that approaching goals, financial goals, with a more positive mindset, positive emotion, more than likely helps you out with your finance goals and advancing those. Now, committing to them, number one, and advancing those. So, commitment, consistency, advancement, and achieving positive psychology. So, how is all this kind of marry together for our finances specifically?
Yeah. I think that if we just take some of what you just said and apply it to what do we want for our own financial well-being, then, the doing part of it becomes a little easier. Well-being, an aspect of well-being is our financial, relationship, our relationship with money. And so for clients who are wanting to improve the financial part of their well-being, looking at what brings, taking, I guess, kind of the PERMA model also too, like what are the positive emotions that you have around money? And this is kind of more of from a foundation place, like a starting point, before you get into just automating savings and, things like that. What are the positive emotions that you experience around money? What are the aspects of money or finances that bring you joy? Does having an insurance policy that covers you and your family, does that bring you comfort? Does having an investment strategy, does that also bring you comfort and maybe security? Things, kind of like that, looking at what are the positive effects or emotions you feel from it, not just how you feel when you go out and buy that new Gucci bag that you've been
Which is
wanting,
okay,
right? But
but
like
yeah.
all of which is okay. Yes, which is okay. I'm a little bitter. That was not on my Christmas list this year. But but looking at just all of the aspects of it, not just the spending, I
Right.
think is maybe
Right.
what I
No,
was trying
absolutely.
to kind of say. And then what is really the meaning that money brings us to our lives? And this kind of ties in nicely with our values. I find that a lot of individuals or couples really have not done kind of the exercise of evaluating what their own values are. And so if you don't have a clear understanding of your values or the meaning that money brings to you, it can be really difficult to create those smart goals for
Uh, a-
yourself. And so, taking that, looking at all of that and doing that as kind of a starting place exercise before even evaluating, okay, then what are my strengths? What are the traits that I possess that allow me to go out and accomplish those? Being able to do those exercises first will allow you to accomplish really whatever it is that you
Mhm.
want.
Oh, wow. Well, you kind of just open, man. Ashley, see, that's why we have people like you on the show, because you just got just open doors to what the next segment is already, which is, you know, setting up a process using positive emotion or positive psychology for a process to approach your finances. So let's chop it up about that. And you just open that door, which is we can use these this system in order to, for as just individuals, how we process internally, externally, and also couples, because when we talk about money, folks have at all stages, by the way, you said, for fundamental or advanced stages and life stages, everybody has this anxiety. Something, well, I wouldn't say everybody, I would just say there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of worry, there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of, do we have enough? uh, are we on the right track? All of the lack of confidence supporting money, around money. So this positive psychology can help us. So to your point, the door that you just opened, how can we use positive psychology as a process, both of individuals, internally, externally, and couples?
Yeah, I love this. I love this question. And I think my answer will be similar to what I've said earlier. The thing I would add here is that this has to be a regular process. It's not just a one-time check the block type of process. So, for example, every year, Clayton, my husband, and I, we sit down and we evaluate our goals, what we've previously done in the year, and then what we want to accomplish. And we, talk about what brings us joy, what do we need to focus on, all of these things. And so from a process standpoint, whatever it is that the goals end up ultimately being, you have to start kind of at the foundation and then work your way up. And so that foundation again really includes evaluating what are the feelings that you have, what are the positive emotions, what is the meaning that it's bringing to you, and then what does that look like, right? Or what needs to happen then, based upon what those answers are. As humans, we evolve over time, and so the meaning or the positive emotions that we experience about money in our 20s, in our 30s, in our 40s, and our 50s, it's going to be
Mm,
different. Or after certain transitions or life transitions, going from being single to being married, from being married to, potentially having and starting your own family. Like the emotions that you have about money, before kids versus after kids, or when you're, kind of later in life, maybe in retirement age, they're going to be different. So, from a process standpoint, it might sound redundant, but there is really a need for making sure that you are consistently evaluating what those emotions and the meaning is there around
right,
money.
because it
From
goes right
there,
into one of your famous sayings, your famous saying, which is
think,
think,
feel, do.
feel, do. I mean, for real. I mean, the process allows you to go through that audit, what I call an honest self audit.
Mm.
Which is the emotional HSA.
Yeah, yeah, I love that.
But your term, think, feel, do, and if you're able to process your thought processes, or your mindset and your emotion, then you kind of clear the palette, to feel that, affirm that, acknowledge that, whether it be, okay, this is what I want to do, this is what I don't want to do, and this is what I aspire to do. Now the do part, which is going after it, and that's where that commitment and consistency
Yeah.
and compounding comes from. Yes, so I love your saying, don't you think?
Yeah, I would 100% agree. I think you said it a lot better probably than what I could. But, the do part then allows, it's not that the do part or the goals like don't really like matter, but I just feel like, you know, understanding like what the thoughts, what the feelings are, what the meaning is, like all of that stuff first really then provides, that road, map or that path to being able to achieve whatever it is that you do. So many people, and you probably see this too with clients, like they start at the do part and then they're frustrated, which is what we were talking about kind of at the beginning. Like then they become frustrated or they don't follow through. And it's because they don't really understand everything else behind it. They've just focused so much on, well, I need to automate my savings, or, I need to max out my Roths and like 401k, or, I need to save for a down payment on a house. They focus so much on like the do part. And when they don't take time to understand the thoughts, emotions, and meaning behind it, it makes it a lot more difficult to connect to the do.
Absolutely. I remember Oprah, she back in the day, she had this, she was giving away cards and she'd be like, oh, I was like, why can't I get a dang on card like that? Right. Uh, but it was the ah moment. And I think to your think,
Mm.
feel, do, I have the ah moment, which is, admit where you are, acknowledge how you feel about it so you can take action. And to what you
Yeah.
just said, which is if you have a clear palette of affirming your goals, your aspirations, affirming what those are, affirming where your position is, and 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 clearing that out, then you have more room, more energy, more just more everything to commit to that doing, and then to even show like with the key word on one of the key words today is resiliency to go through and stick to, because our first episode or our first segment was about stick to itiveness of goals. So what I hear you saying is that that think feel do that ah moment, what that helps with getting towards that stick to itiveness or and through.
It does. Yeah, absolutely. Knowing your why, that's another common thing that, we hear people say, like, know your
Yeah,
why as far as why,
cliches work.
you're doing it. So all of that. Yeah, 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 absolutely.
Well, oh, Ashley, this has been great. Uh, what closing thought do you have? I mean, because you dropped so many gems on us today. I mean, what closing thought do you have for people that are wanting to align their New Year's goals with positive psychology and they're on their financial journey? What type of just gem do you have at top of mind?
Yeah, for those who are maybe looking at things on an individual level, and this applies also to couples too, but from an individual level, is whatever those goals are that you wrote down, just take a few minutes, like 15 minutes, and think about, what maybe your why. Think about what is the meaning that these goals will bring you. Accomplishing these goals will allow you to do or feel what. And if you kind of are coming up short, then maybe that's one you don't really focus on. Maybe that's one you kind of earmark for later. But really focus on the ones that you have clear answers for, as far as the thoughts or feelings and the meaning that it will bring to you. For couples, I encourage them to do this as well, making sure that it's not just about agreement, it's about alignment. When it comes to goals. And so you don't have to agree, but just are you aligned on that? And what are the thoughts and feelings, and what's the meaning kind of there behind those for you guys as a couple and maybe even as a family?
Well, I knew when I just left the door open for you, you just walked right in. So thank you for helping folks like that. Ashley, where can people find you? I see you on social media, so I know your clients do too. Where can people find you, and what are you up to?
Oh, yeah. So I'm pretty findable. There's not a lot of Ashely Quammes out there in the world that at least I know of, but LinkedIn is where I hang out a lot, as well as on Twitter or X. Excuse me. My handle there is at BAM Consults. You can find me on my website, which is www.beyondthefp.com. What am I up to? Currently building kind of both businesses that I operate in. I have a clinical practice, The Wealthy Marriage, which focuses on financial therapy and financial coaching. It's a group practice that services couples mostly worldwide. And then I have a consulting firm, Beyond the Plan, as well, where I serve as financial advisor. So those are the two things I'm up to
Well,
professionally. So find me, chat with me, engage with me. I'd love to hear
well,
from you.
that is awesome. Helping people on journeys. So thank you so much. Ashely, thank you so much for being on the show. We hope to see you again.
Thanks, Preston.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the Life Money Balance podcast. We will see you next week. So tune in to our next show. If you like what we're talking about, leave a review, like and subscribe, and we'll keep chopping it up. We'll see you soon. Cheers.